WGEM News is following breaking news.
It's a familiar sound across the area tonight as crews work to clean up after the storm and get the power back on. We begin our team coverage tonight near 8th and Jackson in Quincy. That's where Lesley Van Ness joins us live. And Lesley, Ameren was saying that the hope was to get power restored for most of Quincy tonight, but now many people finding out the wait continues.
Yeah, the wait definitely continues. About 15,500 people, customers, I should say, in the city of Quincy still left in the dark. Take a look behind me. These crews continue to work. These guys are from Marion, Illinois, drove last night. They left at 9:30, got here to Quincy, and have been working nonstop ever since. They're repairing the power lines. They've repaired a cross arm at the top of the power pole. Power poles have been replaced all over the city. I mean, this storm did some massive damage in the city of Quincy. I mean, obviously, by the number of people that have been left in the dark. Now, that number has improved since yesterday, but a big part of this recovery effort is where do we go from here? Mayor Kyle Moore declared a state of emergency last night after the storm tore through the Gem City. And today, he met with city and county officials to lay out a game plan, so to speak. Where do we go from here? How do we clear the streets? How do we get power back on to the thousands of customers left in the dark? WGEM's Kate Tindall was at a press conference earlier this morning, and you also spoke with homeowners who are just in this massive cleanup right now.
That's right, Lesley. At that conference today, we talked with the city officials, and they were answering that question. With so many homeowners out of electricity, with the things they have to do, cooking, charging your cell phone, even medical devices, those officials had to answer that question, when will the power be back on? After declaring a state of emergency, Mayor Kyle Moore says last night's storms left little of Quincy untouched.
We saw a big storm come through in a short amount of time with streets impassable, with residents and being out of work and businesses being closed. Really, the cost is going to be really quite high to the city of Quincy and to the surrounding area.
And as people start to clear damage, the question is, when will the power come back on? Ameren's Senior Vice President of Operations and Technical Services, Ron Pate, estimates the company has about 1,000 employees working to restore power. Pate hopes most residents will see electricity coming back on by the late evening hours tonight. But he says delays for hard-hit areas, especially the southeast part of town, could push that time back to the early morning hours of Wednesday. One of those residents waiting for power is Sarah Reynolds. She is busy cleaning up damages, and she is ready for the AC and other appliances to come back on.
Well, a bath is a big deal, so we'll do that. The food in the refrigerator, I went and got ice in West Quincy to put in coolers because I don't know when we're going to get that back. And
after a hot day of cleanup, those modern comforts look pretty good.
I love the modern conveniences. Running water and electricity is really, I like that,
So many people left in the dark and really struggling just to get by with everyday life.
That's true. And even though crews from Ameren and the city are out right now clearing up trees, getting rid of wires that are down, those officials are still asking people to be careful. Moore asked people, stay off the streets if you don't have to be out. Pate also added that treat every wire like it's live, just reminding people that there are dangers after the storm as well as during it. Lesley?
Yeah, so true. Thank you so much, Kate. We can't say that enough. So many wires down. You don't know what's live and what's not. It's best to be safe than sorry. And speaking of those crews, we have Ameren crews, but also contracted workers have come to Quincy. Close to 1,000 workers are here to try to get power back on for residents, and they're coming from near and far to help. I just mentioned at the top of the show, these crew members behind me are from Marion, Illinois, but there's also some crew members from LaSalle, Illinois as well, a suburb just south of Chicago. They spent a lot of their day at the substation behind the Quincy Mall. A big concern for them at this point is trying to clear trees and debris. Now, they don't want people to try and go out and do that themselves. Crews say that is extremely dangerous because there are so many wires down.
People could be electrocuted if they're in amongst it working on trees and they don't know what they're dealing with. So stay clear until somebody from the power company comes by and assures you that it's safe.
Now, most of these crew members will work through the night to get power restored and continue until everyone is back on here in the city of Quincy. Now, the main concern for a lot of homeowners at this point is getting the power back on. Again, we told you 15,500 people still don't have power. Barb Kaiser, she lives just off 20th and Broadway and saw a tree come down on her home. So many people have unfortunately had to experience this in the last 24 hours. She said her home didn't suffer damage, but she lost 2 trees and part of her fence. Kaiser said when she came outside to see the damage, she couldn't believe it, but says now the power is her main concern.
I think I was probably a little bit numb, but then you say to yourself, this too shall pass, so, you know, getting all bent out of shape about it or worked up, that wasn't going to help. I'm just waiting for the electricity to come in and take it from there step by step.
Yeah, so many people. Well, some people did turn to generators to keep everything running. Lowe's outdoor power sales specialist Casey Reed says the store sold out of generators within hours of opening this morning. And what you really need to be careful of, we need to remind you of safety tips if you are using a generator. He said the store sold 20 to 30 generators since last night. Other stores are now shipping new generators to Quincy because of the demand. But he said if you have a generator, you need to be careful.
Generators can never be used inside. A lot of people have the idea they can put them in their basement and use them. We have to caution them about that.
Now, according to Ameren's website, you shouldn't directly connect a portable generator with your electrical system because it could damage your home and possibly electrocute crews who are trying to fix your power. So another good tip if you're using a generator. Now, one big question after this massive storm blew through the city of Quincy, was it a tornado? Was it straight line winds? Everybody felt like it was a tornado. It definitely sounded that way. So the National Weather Service came to Quincy. What did they find out, Brian?
Well, I'll tell you, Lesley, what they really did today when they came up out of the St. Louis area. Jim Cramper in particular came up here. He took a little bit of a survey and he took a walk around town.
At times we will ask people, did you get the warning? Did you understand it? Did you react? What did you do when you heard the warning? Did you take shelter? Was it clear that this was a dangerous storm, that you needed to do something? Because if people don't understand what we're trying to tell them, we're kind of wasting our time.
So National Weather Service officials, they'll be in town for, I think, the rest of the day today. Plus, while they're down in St. Louis, they'll be available to kind of answer questions with emergency management. The questions were, how can you tell is it straight line winds? How can you tell it's tornadic? One of the things we really look for is spearing of the twigs that are in the ground. I placed these here, but when you see straight line winds, normally everything comes in at the same direction if there's any spearing. When you have a tornado, you'll see this, and they'll be from all different directions, all within the same area. So we kind of had a situation today where people were saying, but I had a tree, it came down this way and my neighbors came down the other way. Well, as the wind starts to blow it over, once it starts to go, gravity will take over and that tree might just twist with gravity and then hit the ground in a different direction. So a lot of different factors involved, and that's what they do is they come up and survey things. But again, straight line winds, 75 mile an hour in place. We did have some heat today. We're going to talk about it, some relief in the forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you so much, Brian. Well, the Red Cross has definitely been a busy organization pitching in to help thousands of people in need left in the dark without power, especially if they have medical needs. And of course, we're dealing with this stifling heat. Joining me now is Amber Wood with the Red Cross. Thank you so much. Talk about your organization immediately set up that shelter at the Quincy Senior Center.
Sure, certainly. Anytime a disaster happens like the storm last night, American Red Cross is here to really meet those immediate disaster-caused needs like shelter, feeding, and other health needs that may arise. Certainly last night was no different, so we were able to work with our community partners to make sure that we had a safe place for those that were impacted to go. At our shelter, we can provide meals to those that are staying there, as well as a cool place to go. So if individuals are still without power, we would encourage them to definitely stop by the Quincy Senior Center to stop by to just cool down. I mean, certainly we're talking about the heat here and the sunshine. It's a beautiful day, but you know, as you're cleaning up, make sure you're taking care of yourself and taking precautions, getting out of the heat, and drinking lots of water.
Absolutely. We couldn't say it better. And, you know, just to remind people, the shelter is set up at the Quincy Senior Center. That's between 6th and 7th on York, 639 York Street. So, and you'll be there for how long?
We'll be there until the residents are able to return home. I mean, until the need is no longer there.
Okay. We hope that's sooner rather than later. Amber Wood, thank you so much with the American Red Cross. They always do so much for the community. Obviously, there is still a lot of cleanup here, Gene. You know, you can see behind me these crews, gosh, they have been here for how long? You know, they said they got into town super early this morning, just after midnight, and have been working ever since. These are actually contract workers from Marion, Illinois, repairing these power poles. I'm at 8th and Jackson. So still a lot of work. I mean, this is just one sliver of what is going on in the Gem City at this hour. Again, 15,500 people still in the dark without power on what is a very hot night. So we can hopefully, when I spoke with Ameren officials earlier this evening during the 5 o'clock show, they're hoping by tomorrow afternoon, every customer will have power back on. Gene?
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate the update, Lesley. Well, people in neighboring communities are in Quincy to help with this storm recovery, including Culligan Water, which is based in Hannibal. They delivered bottled water to the Quincy Senior Center today for use at the shelter that Lesley was just talking about, and also water for around the community as well. Culligan officials decided this morning that they just needed to do something.
We were just discussing it this morning about, you know, the storm going through last night and everything, and the boss decided it'd be a good thing for us to donate some water to the workers.
Now, that water will be distributed by the Red Cross and used at the shelter there at the Quincy Senior Center and also at mobile sites around the area. The Adams County Emergency Management Agency wants you to know that there is a mobile feeding center that's been set up in the Quincy Mall parking lot. The American Red Cross is serving dinner there as we speak. The center also served lunch earlier today. The Red Cross says that the mobile feeding center will remain in Quincy as long as the need is there. Meanwhile, the Salvation Army and County Market are working together to serve dinner at the Kroc Center tonight. Now, the power is back on at the Kroc Center. It is not open as a cooling center, at least it wasn't today because it didn't have air conditioning, but it will reopen tomorrow. Now, meanwhile, the John Wood Community College cafeteria is open as a cooling center. That is tonight from 7:30 to 8. Coming up on the Tri-States News Leader, we're going to have much more on the storm aftermath, including damage in other parts of the Tri-States. And now the long process of assessing the damage and fixing all of this begins. A live report coming up in just a couple minutes.